Hi everyone, the 30-day challenge is on day 7. We're talking about self-compassion today. This is an amazing topic because I feel like it's something that a lot of people lack in their lives. We tend to be very compassionate towards other people, other people's cheerleaders, other people's supporters, but when it comes to ourselves, we tend to become our own worst enemy. And we don't lift ourselves up. We kind of beat ourselves up, especially when we're down. The act of practicing self-compassion is just that. We are extending kindness to ourselves, but beyond the kindness, we're extending understanding, we're extending acceptance, and unconditional acceptance and unconditional kindness and love towards ourselves without judgment, without criticism. We live in a world that wants to criticize everything and everyone, including ourselves. And we are met with a lot of distractions and advertisements that are also vying for our attention, but the way that they do it is to make us feel bad about ourselves. And when that happens, we tend to be very critical of our own being, of our own person, of our own bodies, of our own success, of everything. And the practice of self-compassion is to not allow those things to filter in. And it's also to understand what's going on between the 6 inches between your ears that might be more negative towards yourself. When we practice self-compassion, we're actually culturing a nurturing relationship with ourselves. And when we do that, when we practice self-compassion and kindness and gentleness towards ourselves, we actually can increase our own resilience, our own well-being, and our own worth. Because think about when you're building someone else up. Think about when you're being a cheerleader for someone else and you're supporting them. Oftentimes they feel better and they certainly feel like they're worth something. And they likely will be a bit more resilient because they have more compassionate energy towards them. So if you can do that for yourself, then you can elevate your own energy. You can elevate your own experience and your own mental attitude. When you're able to change your relationship with yourself and be more kind and love yourself more and be less critical, it not only helps you, but it also helps you in outside relationships, in your productivity, in your work, because you're showing up differently. Your energy is different. And so people will receive you differently because you're feeling differently about yourself. It also is a well-known fact that we have to love ourselves before we can really extend that love towards anyone else. So oftentimes if we're feeling negative about ourselves, that energy can also seep out from us. So it's really important to practice self-compassion, to increase the meaningfulness of your life by being kind to yourself, breaking free from the criticism, breaking free from the perfectionism, and increasing your inner peace, which will have a ripple effect on the world around us. Like and follow for more. I will see you in the next video. Let's see, tomorrow, which is day 8, we are talking about journaling. But before we go there, go to the next video where I am walking you through an activity of self-compassion. How do we do it? What does that look like? I'll see you in the next video. Okay, let's dive into the day 7 practice of self-compassion. I've been kind of walking through doing the activities from a personal perspective, but I feel like for self-compassion, it's really important for me to ask you those questions and to really have you think about it and dive in. And I'll give you some examples as we go along. So let's get started. Self-compassion, step number 1. I want you to think about a time when you thought you failed or made a mistake or went through something challenging that you were hard on yourself about, that maybe you judged yourself about, or that you were unkind to yourself in. And go ahead and press pause if you need to during these so that you can think before we go to the next piece. And next, what I'd like you to do, once you've got this image in your mind of a time when you feel like you've struggled or you were hard on yourself, think about what it is that you felt. What were the emotions that came up? Were you sad? Were you angry? Were you disappointed? Were you embarrassed? What was it that you felt? And don't judge yourself for having these emotions, because it's very normal to have emotions like this. But what I want you to do now is just write down what it was that you were experiencing. How were you feeling when you went through this challenge or this struggle or made this error that you thought you made? And the next step is I want you to apply some kindness to that situation. What could you have said differently to yourself? What could you have done differently that might have made you feel a little bit less negative about the situation? What might you have said to someone else who you saw struggling and needed to be lifted up? Apply that same compassion to yourself and write down what it is that you might have needed in that moment. You know yourself better than anyone else. So think about what it is that you might have needed in that moment that would have helped you to not struggle as much and at least not judge yourself in the process, because it's bad enough when we feel like we've made an error or something hasn't gone our way to then on top of that start judging ourselves. It's like we kick ourselves when we're down. Try not to do that. Try to acknowledge that sometimes we aren't our most skillful and we, need some kindness and understanding in those moments in order to feel better. And finally, think about the fact that you are not alone in this. Have other people made mistakes? Have you observed other people messing up or struggling or not doing their best or being unskillful at times or being ineffective? Yes, you absolutely have. And we're not alone in that. Everyone makes mistakes. Everyone is fallible. And if you can expand your perspective to, instead of just kind of going inward and judging and feeling awful, to really think about, everyone makes mistakes. I can kind of let this go. I don't have to hold on to this and judge myself in a really negative way. So I want you to write down now a sentence that you can use that will remind you the next time you might be hard on yourself, that will remind you to be kind to yourself, that will remind you to be compassionate. Maybe it's, I'm not alone. We all make mistakes. We all fail, or I can learn from this opportunity. What can I do differently the next time? What are my learned experiences in this that will help me to grow and be stronger? Because we know with every challenge, with every struggle, with every perceived mistake, it's actually an opportunity for growth. And that is actually when we grow the most in our lives. So embrace those difficult times and those challenges and be kind to yourself in the process, and you will grow exponentially to your next level and be the best you can be. Like and follow for more. The next day is day 8, and we're going to be talking about journaling. I'm going to talk to you about the power of journaling, the science behind journaling, and then give you an opportunity to journal yourself. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day.